With JJK exactly one chapter from finishing, I've been thinking about how JJK's ending will be viewed in the future. No spoilers, but since the Gojo and Sukuna fight, I'll say, JJK has been varied in opinion. It's had a lot of mixed opinion. I honestly don't know where I stand with the JJK ending. So obviously I'm caught up with JJK. Shout out to Jujutsu Kaisen. Ever since the Gojo and Sukuna fight, and don't spoilers ahead because I gotta talk about everything that's happened and stuff. Honestly, ever since Gojo died, I think the series is, I wouldn't say so, but I don't know if I've loved the direction it's gone in. I think at first, maybe for like the first maybe week or something, it might have been because Gojo died. I was a Gojo fan. I was pushing the Gojo agenda for a long time. With him dying, I was like, damn. But then I started thinking about it. Just the ending in general, or even just how it ended. I didn't love how Gojo was killed. And not even that he was killed, but the way he was killed. Like, if he's gonna get overpowered by Sakuna, let that happen. But having that part off screen, and I know a lot of people have had discussions about this, but I didn't love that. It felt kind of weird. And then what even people on Twitter were kind of deeming like the Sakuna circle, where you had a new character come out and it's like, oh my god, we haven't seen him in a while, or damn, he's up again with then Sakuna's being overrun by them because they're a new character. They're beating up Sakuna, and then Sakuna overpowers them and eventually cuts them down quite literally. We had that with Mach. We had Toto come back from damn near irrelevancy, which shout out Toto because I made a video about that before that happened, so I feel like I have to take credit for that. So we had Toto, then we had Yuta. Yuji did that shit like 6 times by himself. Who else? Oh, we had Miguel who came back from nowhere. Bunch of shit. Oh, Higuruma. Like it was just a bunch of characters that it felt like, oh, they're gonna be put down, and then they come out of nowhere and Sakuna's being overwhelmed, and it was just annoying. I think an annoying cycle, so to speak, where we kept on seeing that. And it just kind of felt weird where looking at the fight, even the Sukuna fight, with how powerful he was after he beat Gojo, or even after he beat Kashimo, I feel like it didn't really make sense on how they defeated him in the end. Like, I know that Yuji had the black flashes which he would spam, and black flash would make Yuji stronger, and his basically, I'm gonna say, like, soul defusing punches, so to speak, were weakening both Sukuna and the connection with Megumi. And obviously, like, Sukuna was going through an insane gauntlet, but he probably didn't even get to rest for even 5 minutes. I understand that. I'm not, discrediting that. But even so, it just felt like you mean to tell me that Sukuna still let all this happen? Like, Sukuna was so much more powerful than the cast that the fact that it eventually watered down to him getting defeated by Yuji and by, I guess, Megumi, so to speak, but really by Yuji, it's like, okay. It just didn't really feel like it hit. It almost felt like shit was just happening. I was like, okay, bro. Sukuna's letting these niggas, beat him and stuff. He's holding back, and it's like, okay, well, he's realizing that shit's happening. Like there was a point in the fight where Sukuna hit like 2 or 3 black flashes when he was fighting Maki, at least, and it's like, bro, like, it just didn't feel like he should have lost in the way he lost. And I don't know if it's maybe a thing where it's sometimes with anime, when you hype up certain things, you just never, it's like it can never live up to what the hype is reaching, which I think that's a problem with that One Piece. We might talk about that some other time, but that's like you could call it the One Piece problem, because when you hype up something for so long, when it eventually comes up, it feels like it's fan fiction, because it feels like it's not real. Like it can never live up to what we were expecting. And I feel like a lot of things like that happen. Like, it felt like, okay, well, Yuta's domain expansion, maybe it's because of the time it was released, it's like it felt so quick. I was like, okay, well, he got his domain expansion. Well, he had his domain expansion. That's cool. Nothing really like, it's like, okay, well, I think things like Yuta's domain expansion maybe should have been used a little bit before the fight so we could really enjoy it, because it felt like, okay, well, he had it and it just didn't live up to everything it needed to be. Although I will say Yuta's domain expansion was actually kind of hard. That's probably not a good example. I guess a better example is Yuji's domain expansion, because it's like, bro, we never really even found out what his domain expansion really was. Like, it happened so fast. Or the whole Sakuna and Yuji's backstory, where Yuji is essentially the descendant of Sakuna's twin brother he ate in the womb. That was a crazy ass plot twist, and I think that was a really cool moment in JJK, but I think that should have been expanded upon way more. Like, we never got the hand flashback that everyone's been talking about. We needed that, in my opinion. Like, I know people say that, Sakuna would have ruled the world and stuff in that era. Like, I don't care. I wanted to see what made Sukuna tick. Like, I think that was a big missed opportunity in JJK. Like, we never really got to see why Sakuna, obviously we know he was a character that just kind of randomly, he has no emotions and things like that, but it's like, to see his very start, I think that would have been a big thing. Maybe have an arc, or even a mini arc for that matter, even like the length of Gojo's flashback or past arc. We get to see an arc where we get to hear Sukuna's inner thoughts and to see what he's really thinking. Stuff like that didn't really ever get, happen even Todo, it's like, okay, well, I remember in the video, I was like, it's getting late in the series. Todo's been gone for so long. If he comes back, it's like, I thought he could come back and do some stuff. I'm not gonna lie, even though I called it and I gotta get credit for that, like, y'all should, in fact, you guys should like and subscribe just because I got that correct. You know what I'm saying, like and subscribe, hit that bell notification and whatnot. Even though I got that correct, in the back of my mind, I was like, there's no way they do this, because if Todo can come back and fight and be strong, I'm gonna wonder what the hell he was doing. Like, what was he doing throughout most of the culling games? What was he doing when they were fighting Gojo at the beginning? It's like, bro, and I know they had an explanation for it, but it's just like, bro, I think Todo could have provided a lot of assistance. Todo should have seen Gojo off. Like, there were certain things that should have happened that did not happen, that I didn't enjoy. Then you can even look at Nobara. Like, for the longest time, I didn't really like, Nobara was a cool character. I was kind of indifferent about her overall. Nobara was dead for so much longer than Todo. Todo actually pretty much quote unquote died or was not using the series after Nobara died. Like, Nobara literally died, and then they had that one line where it was like, oh, she's not dead, her status is unknown. And then we had like 5 arcs after it. Like, we had the Gojo stuff. Like, so many things happened in the series of JJK with Nobara dead. People were saying Maki was best girl. Now let's be honest, Maki is best girl. That's not cap. But the problem is that Nobara didn't do anything. No, don't get it twisted. I actually love the Shibuya arc. I think that the Shibuya arc, especially with Gojo being sealed and Nobara being quote unquote killed, like, a lot of shit was happening. And I think it worked really well for a lot of characters. But my problem was that they never brought back Nobara. Like, the fact that she was brought back in the last of the chapter, if the JJK ends next chapter, she was brought back, what, 5 chapters ago? Maybe? Like, that's not great writing to me. I can't give you that. Because Nobara, I think the arc before the Shibuya arc, Nobara was getting in her bag. Like, she was starting to tee up. So I understand, like, killing her, there's a lot of reasons you could have killed her, you know what I'm saying? It was helpful for Yuji's character and whatnot. But it just felt like why kill her and keep her dead for so long? She could have done a lot more in the series. And then she comes back and they're like, it's a cool moment, I think, overall. Probably I didn't think it was that cool. I was just like, oh damn, she's back. I just really thought that she wasn't coming back, because we were in the last arc, in the last fight, and it was just like, okay, Nobara's back, guys. And it's like, she's been wild since she came back. And to be fair, she did help defeat Sukuna, but it's like, it just got me looking like, okay, it felt like she was kind of a wasted character. This is obviously just talking about Jujutsu Kaisen in itself. I think that, especially with what people have been saying on Twitter, that Jujutsu High ends soon, but they didn't say JJK ends soon, which means we could get a JJK Shippuden. If that happens, a lot of these complaints won't be complaints anymore. Like, you can obviously still like and subscribe to the channel and stuff, but you can write in the comments like, oh yeah, take aged or whatever, it's a cold take, it doesn't matter. But as of right now, with no JJK Shippuden in the works, essentially, these are some of my complaints. So Nobara kind of not doing much was kind of weird. I think people didn't like how Maki ended up, like, with her character and stuff. I think that Maki's still looking at the entire series at a lot of things. Like, considering that when the series started, I didn't think that Maki would be as important as she was. I think that Maki still, played a huge part in it. Although I do understand people kind of being like, oh, Maki should have done more, but I think Maki played really well. I think even Yuta, although I wish we got to see his domain expansion a lot more, even the whole thing with Yuta being in Gojo's body, I don't know if I love that, but I think that was a cool moment, getting to see Yuta really expand on his curse technique, so to speak, like using copy to copy Kenjaku's ability, which it was just the whole thing. But being able to do that, I think was a cool moment. I'll give Yuta his credit. But we gotta talk about the other part of the, I don't even know what to call them. The heavy trio. The heavy hitters. That's what they're called. Hikari. I'm not gonna lie, Hikari was cool to me. But shout out Heavy Weather, bro. Like, if I was Heavy Weather, for instance, who's a Hikari stan, I would be heated at JJK. Because, to be honest, Hikari, Maki, and Yuta, but especially Hikari and Yuta, were built up as equals and built up as these two characters that, even though it was very clear that no one could surpass Gojo, if anyone was going to be the next quote-unquote Gojo, it was going to be one of those two. And I do think that it was really supposed to be Yuta, but whatever, right? So Hikari had so much things he was supposed to do, like him watching the fight between the Gojo fight, and we get to see the whole, like, every time we got Yuta praise, we would get Hikari praise, right? Like, think about it this way. We see in the series, Yuta's like, oh yeah, I have more cursed energy than Gojo, but don't get it fucked up. Gojo's still better than me because he has his cursed energy consumption is like almost infinitely close to 0. Then you have Hikari, and he's like, yeah, my cursed energy has a feeling to it. It has a characteristic. Like no one but I think it's like but Gojo, or no one even Gojo has something like this. Like my Gojo says my cursed energy has a very rigid feeling. So that's a cool thing. That's something that a lot of people don't have as well. And then even when Gojo's fighting, they get the whole, both Yuta and Hikari are like, yeah, we were one shot by Gojo when he was, you know, playing around, so to speak. We got hit by a blue punch and we both threw up. Like we got one shot. Like we were getting Hikari and we were getting Yuta praise, and like they were kind of being compared to each other. And you know, shout out Hikari, because at first I thought we were gonna go with some shit with that, right? Where Hikari is fighting Urame. It's supposed to be this fight that I thought Hikari was gonna at some point finish and join in the fight. But the fact that Hikari never fights Sukuna, that's a missed opportunity, bro. He couldn't even be a part of the fight. Higuruma fights and Hikari can't fight Sukuna, the main villain of the entire series. That's not hard. I mean, I don't think he was ever gonna fight Kenjaku, but he didn't fight Kenjaku either. And the worst part, I think the worst part of that is, if Urame was like established to be this crazy character that was second best to Sukuna is literally 100%, Gojo's like 95, and Urame is like 65, but everyone else in the series is like 30. Okay, Hikari could still probably cook with that, but we got the entire fight off screen. Like we might have gotten 5 panels of the entire fight, and that's bad. Like people don't like One Piece. That's like worse than One Piece. So that's like One Piece bad, and like, oh, this is off screened. And with One Piece, people have at least have the excuse of, okay, well, we're saving this character for this fight, like the Blackbeard Ace stuff. Okay, we're saving some of the Blackbeard stuff because we have that Blackbeard fight eventually. But even now in current One Piece, we get in stuff like the Blackbeard versus Law, or the Shanks versus Kid, or the Aokiji versus Garp. We're getting stuff like that. We didn't even get that with Hikari. We didn't get to see any of that. Hikari literally, I think we had a couple scenes where we see his arm gets frozen and gets brought back and whatnot. Like he brings it back because obviously Hikari's reverse curse technique is off the charts. Oh, that was another thing that Hikari had that I think they said was better. I think they said that his reverse curse technique was better than Gojo and Sakuna. So that, shout out Hikari for that. But it was getting to the point where when Gege said that JJK had 5 chapters left in the series, everyone was like, yo, Hikari finna get done nasty. I was like, oh yeah, Hikari, you're cooked. You're cooked. Because it was getting to a point, especially when Yuta was fighting Sakuna and using domain expansion and doing all that shit, niggas were like, I ain't gonna lie, Hikari, you looking very weak. Like, because you two get compared. You guys are literally the 2 people that we're gonna look at in the series. You're the 2 best heavy hitters, and the heavy hitters were looked at as like the big bro of the series. So we're looking at those 2 and we're like, damn, Hikari's not really doing anything. We don't know how powerful Urama is, so when Hikari's basically getting stalemated by her, it's not a good look. And the fact that the fight we never got to see any of it, and Hikari's just like, oh yeah, it's over. And Urame just basically like, yeah, it's over. We don't even know what happened to Urame. Like, what happened to her? Because she just says it's over. You're not gonna fight. You better fight all them niggas. Like, did she get jumped? We really kind of don't know what happens. I actually no, I'm tweaking. I think she disappears at the end on some like bullshit. But yeah, my fault. She disappears. But like, it's like, even that's like, we couldn't even get the last like 2 chapters of what that fight would be like Hikari doing a final hit or whatever. It just kind of felt like, okay, like this, what is going on here? It felt like Gege is just, some of that shit just getting thrown at the wall. We have Megumi as well. I feel like Megumi's character was kind of unfulfilled as well, because when you look at what, I didn't think Megumi was that, you know, tough or whatever, but Gege did, and especially Gojo did, because when we look at the series, Gojo had multiple moments. Well, Gojo had a whole scene where he was like, yeah, in the past, the 2 strongest people were a 6 eyes user with infinity and a 10 shadows user. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Like, it was definitely pushed in the series that, okay, well, Megumi's peak as a character can be as strong as, if not stronger than Gojo. And then for Gege to double down with that, with Sakuna taking over Megumi's body and being a better version of Megumi, it was pushed. Like, okay, it's like, okay, this is Megumi's peak. This is how powerful a 10 shadows user can be. And I get that would be decent if we had more of the series. Maybe Megumi after fighting can be like, I can feel how Sakuna used the ability. A good example would be Sakuna is, he inadvertently showed Megumi how to use his power better, and now Megumi's like, I can do this. Obviously we know JJK is a lot about imagery, like JJK is a lot about creativity, so if you don't think something is possible, then it's not possible to you. But with Sakuna, you know, opening Megumi's eyes, so to speak, we could have had that be a scene where it's like, oh shit, now I realize what's possible. But we didn't even get that. And it's just like, now I do kind of like, you know, seeing the big 3, or like the 3 students of Gojo together again. And obviously we know it's different than season 1 when they didn't know about the world. They were a little wet behind the ears. We see they even look different. You know, Yuji looks a little bit older and stuff. Nobara has a freaking eye patch. She looks different. But overall, they're all different characters. They're scarred. They've been through the sorcerer life, so to speak. Now Yuji, you good. I ain't gonna lie, Yuji tee the fuck up. He got the whole backstory of him being related to Sukuna. He got a lot of character art, character moments. He got a lot of good fights. Yuji, I honestly have little to no complaints with, but I think Yuji was done pretty well. I even think Yuta and Maki, I'll give you those two as well. But after that, a lot of y'all other niggas, like, it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I love how everything ended. I'm gonna be honest. Higuruma was like, the rest of the guys were like people like Higuruma, like I think they had pretty good character moments and whatnot, but it's like I don't really not care, but it's like the attention to detail. I think I'm looking at like the main cast, the heavy hitters, even looking at like a Gojo. I think it's funny because Gojo, his ending was not bad. Although I think besides his death being, I think Gojo had a pretty bad death. I think Gojo's character arc of I could never feel human. Like I always thought I was above God after the Toji moment, right? I think that's not a bad thing for him. Although I will say even that could have been fleshed out a lot more. I'm just like the rest of y'all, like it's not, y'all just not hitting for me, bro. I can't lie to you. Like Kashimo, people didn't even love Kashimo's ending. They felt like he should have done more. We didn't get to see his domain expansion. It was just certain things where it's like, man, I wasn't a huge Kashimo stan, like a lot of people were, you know what I'm saying? So it didn't really hurt my heart as much, but I could see people not liking how Kashimo was defeated, right? We didn't get to see his whole thing. And the fact that he didn't get a backstory as well was kind of like, it left a lot to be desired. So, but man, it's just like, even Sakuna, people, I don't know if people like Sakuna's ending. I don't know, it's interesting, honestly, how people talk about how Yuji treated Sukuna as opposed to how he treated Mahito, because he was like, Mahito, no matter what happens, you can come back as a curse as a human. I'm gonna kill you every time. That shit was hard. But he kind of treated Sukuna differently. He's like, you can come back one last time. But I don't know if people like, did you guys like how Sukuna ended up like losing in the end? Like, let me know down in the comments down below, obviously. But I don't know, man. It's just, I wouldn't say JJK had a bad, like a terrible ending, but I don't think JJK had a great ending. Like that's just how I kind of feel as of right now. And I think people in the comments can obviously let me know. Maybe you guys think a little differently, but I'm not entirely sure that JJK had the ending I think it deserved that matched the hype that we received as of the Gojo and Sukuna fight. Because we got to be honest, bro. Don't let people hit you with that revisionist history. Gojo versus Sakuna, that arc, that time, that was some of the most peak we've ever seen in the anime community. The Gojo meme was everywhere. We saw that. The nah, I'd win. That shit was everywhere. Like that's some of the best memes I've ever seen. I'm not gonna lie. Like that stuff, that obviously memes are not the end all be all. It's just memes. But the whole point of what I'm saying with memes is that when you look at the Gojo versus Sakuna fight, like it was some of the most peak. The whole point was everyone was tuning in. Like everyone was cognizant of what was happening. I think that JJK, if you would ask me at that time, was JJK gonna have a great ending? I was gonna say, like, obviously there was no way good that JJK was not gonna have an amazing ending, but we see, I'm not gonna lie, we see that it I don't think it had a great ending, to be honest. And I don't know, I think that JJK, it might have had a disappointing ending, if I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. I wonder how you guys are gonna take this. I wonder if you guys are gonna like agree with me or disagree with me. But regardless, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification for more anime content. There's more JJK content on the way, presumably, you know what I'm saying, at least for me. But yeah, let me know if you guys want to see other anime or what do you guys want to see from me specifically. But I'm out, so peace.